Hey, this is Max. I'm back with another CSR2 video. This is the HPE750 Mustang, which is basically a Hennessy high performance engineering supercharging kit on a regular Mustang with a nice, upgraded supercharger hood and some slicks. That looks great. It looks its part as a drag car. But how does it perform? Well, at stage 5, which is where I'm at with this car as far as upgrades and utilizing, whoops, wrong button, sorry. Oh, by the way, it took 12 pulls out of 15 to get the first car. So I'm probably going to end up pulling that 3 just to get another car to strip for parts. But currently, I'm just earning more keys before I do that. So I built this car up to stage 5 only. Okay. This is where we're going to start with the Prestrige Cup if no other stage 6 comes along before then. With only about 2 epic fusions missing, I can tune this car to run 13049. It has an interesting situation with the tune where this stock location for the final drive with the tire setting seems to give you one of the best times that you can run. But it also can duplicate this identical number of EVO with slight adjustment to the tire at a different location, which gives you the same, technically the same time run, but a little bit higher mile per hour. However, the standard methods of down tuning such as 2.0 does not seem to generate really a dyno beating tune. Many cars down tune easily. Perhaps after we get stage 6s that'll change, but as of right now this car is not one that's going to easily down tune. And I think Natural Motion's moving towards these kind of tire spinning power limited setups for cars because they're trying to prevent a lot of these down tuning that is based off of grip. If you notice, all the new cars recently have low grip tire setups. Very few goes to 0 until they're maxed, and even then they spin their tires. Look at the Warsteiner VCS. So this is essentially a way to prevent grip-induced downtunes, and I have no issue with that. It is what they're trying to do, is probably to level the playing field. But most other cars with low grip, high power setups, such as the LB Aventador and some of the others, will naturally beat dyno pretty easily. With this car, it's not so easy. This car does not beat dyno easily, at least not in my hands, not at this point. Perhaps other people will find a tune or find a way to drive it better that will get you a much greater dyno beating setup. But as of right now, what I find is I can get the car close to dyno, but not quite under it by any significant margin. And that's not for lack of trying. So here I'm hitting 13.056 on a 13049 dyno. Very close, but not quite beating it. Now, nitrous use and the way you drive it, I'll do it again. I noticed that this car drives exactly like last season's Subaru Rocket Bunny BRZ. Did they copy the shift patterns onto this car? Oh, no. Every car Natural Motion makes are unique, right? Everything's unique for each car. They never copy and paste anything. But it sure does drive like one, including topping out slowly at the end and not able to push beyond a certain point. This drives almost identical to the BRZ. I am not going to speculate too much as to why, but hey, it's just something I noticed. All right, now that tells you that this car is not a dyno beating car, first of all. Secondly, it is kind of a medium grip initially car, but it goes to higher grip as it gets built. As you can see from the dyno, 2.04 is not too shoddy for 0 to 60, but it's not great either at stage 5 setup. A stage 5 setup GT350R would already be in the ones. However, your top speed is better, and there's hope that this will actually hit 260 mile per hour maxed. What about the Prestige Cup? What are we facing here? Well, that is something that is concerning to me. Here's why. This car, according to information on Facebook, is supposed to run a 10.6 maxed at about 244 miles per hour. At stage 5 only, with almost full fusion, I'm running 13.0. That is a 2.4 second difference. Okay, that's a big difference. So that makes me concerned as far as where these S6s are going to be impacting this car. Each S6 would have a large margin. You only get 7. They have to cover the span of 2.4 seconds. You divide 7 into 24, okay, you're looking at about 3.5, 3/10 and a half per each S6 if they were evenly distributed. And I know they're not going to be. So you're going to have some X6s that's probably going to give you almost 5/6 off of your time with fusions, and others that may only give you 2/10 off your time with fusions. Depending on where Natural Motion is going to put this Prestige Cup car's final run time, it's going to be very interesting. Also, I'm not sure how they're going to get us to race 28 without really jacking up race 29 and 30 if they intend to let you get the first S5, my apologies, the S6 by race 28 without making it too hard, right? With almost full fusion, we're looking at maybe a potential run of 13.0. That means in order for me to reach this S6 at race 28, almost to the end, I can't really beat a 13. What are they going to put here? They're going to put 13.2? All right, let's say they put 13.2. I get this S6. And what's that going to jump to? Because you know there's a 2-second gap. Most of the past Prestige Cups, they've made it so that you would need to probably run something along the line of 2 or 3 S6s to really guarantee finishing it. However, as we learned from the last update, when there's additional crates sitting around inside the rear imports, they may not have the spot. And I mean Natural Motion may not have the spot to put the Prestige crate. So is it going to be a repeat of last season where there's no Prestige crate, but the PC Cup is very easy? That may very well happen with this car. I wouldn't prefer that because it make it impossible for you to really max this car off of keys. You'd be stuck with whatever one S6 you get off of here, the other one off the Crew Cup, and otherwise, you know, blind luck with bronze key pulls. I really do wish they would leave the Prestige crate in this season. Maybe make this a little harder. I'll even deal with that so I can potentially max this car. Here's the reason why I want to max one of these. Out of all the T4 cars that can possibly complete Tempest 3 Tier 4, this car has the potential of doing it. I'm not saying it can, because I haven't had a max one to test, but it has the potential from the dyno that I saw. 244 miles per hour is not 260. I'll give you that. But remember, usually you can tweak the tune, run nitrous later to push a car beyond its theoretical limit. And if this car can somehow hit 260, it also obviously can already hit the 0 to 60 at max tune because it does something like a 1.2. So this will be one of the few free to gain cars that is not a 5-star and that is easier, much easier in a sense to upgrade than even the NSX and can still do the job. Because the only other cars that you can use for Tempest 3 Tier 4 are all paid cars. The NSX, the F40 is a tough car to use, and you still have to switch to some kind of fast acceleration car for the last few races. So everything else pretty much can't do it by itself. This car has potential, so I'm curious. Again, if Natural Motion let us reach here with just a mere 13-second or slower run, then they can't really make it too tough here. I mean, at most they would say maybe 12.6, to get to here? Well, I can tell you one S6 is probably going to hit 12.6, provided you don't get something like an intake. And that means it will be a pretty easy cup. Or they escalate this really by a lot and make it something like 13.2, 12.6, and 12.3. Maybe. I mean, I don't know if they would do that. I mean, that's kind of, how would I put it? Kind of unfair in a sense to do it that way, to kind of screw the players on the last two races like that. But they've sort of done that in the past with certain Prestige Cups. So again, this card is interesting because it has such a large gap between stage 5 and stage 6. I don't know how Natural Motion is going to play it. And with regard to this pop-up, if I had an option, I would like an option to say, instead of maybe later, to say maybe never. How about never? You know, add an extra button here so I can click that and not have this pop up anymore. But hey, they want to keep tempting you, and that I understand. Their business, they're trying to make money. All right, so that's enough rambling for part 1 of my Mustang HPE750 build. I am going to be making a second video when the PC Cup comes around, because at that point I can figure out, 1, the direction Natural Motion is going with this cup, and 2, if there are prestige crates, I intend to max one of these and show you whether it can in fact hit the target numbers for Tempest 3 Tier 4 or not. So stay tuned for that. It will be coming up. In the meantime, good luck building this car. If you're short on fusions, I always advise the same thing. For uncommon and rare, use Fiesta ST to strip for the uncommon and rare. And for those much more difficult to obtain epics, you'll have to buy Mustang GTs, and they are about 190k a pop. So you will spend a few bucks, but that's not all that hard to earn back at tier 5 with some trading or live racing. So these two cars would be the ones you would buy to get the fusions filled out, and they would also have the potential of being used on other future Ford cars as they get released. So what's my opinion of this car so far? Well, at stage 5, it's pretty underwhelming. 13 flat is not terrible, but it's not great. And what concerns me again is that huge gap between stage 5 and what it's supposed to be able to do with full stage 6. So we'll find out soon enough whether this car really turns out to be something great or something that's just kind of okay. I'll also take it into live and test that and report back as far as how it match makes in live, but I'm not going to do that with this video. Well, feel free to leave comments, or if you think for the next video there's some things that you would want to see specifically about this car, make a comment, and when I make that video, I'll try to make sure to include answers to your questions. Subscribe to the channel. This way, next video comes along, you get notification. And as always, thank you for watching.